This video is about lines cut by a transversal. Stuff like this right here. Now most of this video is going to be about parallel lines cut by a transversal. So of course these yellow lines are parallel, and this white line that's cutting across would be called a transversal. So let's see, let me just put some markings on here to indicate that these lines are in fact parallel. When you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, a bunch of angles are created. Now some of them are acute and some of them are obtuse. Do you remember what that means? Let's see. For example, this is an acute angle because of the way it is less than 90 degrees. On the other hand, this is an obtuse angle because it is greater than 90 degrees. So when you look at this picture, some of the angles are acute and some of them are obtuse. Okay, so I'm going to go through and letter all of the acute angles that I see. So this angle right here is acute, and so is this one, and so is I'm trying to use all different letters. Okay, and so is this one, and so is this one. Okay, those are all the acute angles in the picture. Now, the bottom line is going to be all of the acute angles that I just labeled, they all have the same measure. They are all congruent. So the measure of angle A is going to equal the measure of angle B, and that's going to equal the measure of angle C, and that's going to equal the measure of angle D. So if angle A is 40 degrees, for example, then all of these pink angles are 40 degrees. Alright, so when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, a key thing to understand is that all the acute angles will be the same, and similarly all the obtuse angles will be the same. So this is an obtuse angle right here, E, and then F, and then G, and then H. Alright, so all of those angles that I just labeled as blue are congruent. Alright, so if this is a 100 degree angle, then all of these obtuse angles are 100 degrees. Now, so there's one more thing you need to know. The angles that are side by side like this, okay? For example, angle B and angle G. See how they're nestled in here together? These angles are supplementary. Okay, that means they add up to 180 degrees. So G plus B would have to equal 180. These are supplementary. Alright, same thing going on, of course, with these right here. F plus C would equal 180. Also, angles like these up here, alright, E and A, they are also supplementary. You see how they're right next to each other, they make a straight line. So really I could say any of the, if you take any blue angle and a pink angle, they are supplementary. So E plus A would equal 180. D plus H would equal 180. But because all the pink angles are the same and all the blue angles are the same, any pink angle plus any blue angle should equal 180. So if I just randomly pick a pink angle like B, and if I randomly pick a blue angle like H, B plus H should equal 180 degrees. Alright, so that's the key background information that you need. So look at the first problem. Two parallel lines are cut by a transversal. What is the value of X? So I see that we have an obtuse angle right here, and we have another obtuse angle right here. So obtuse angles are always going to be equal in this type of situation. So that means 3x plus 4 must equal 115 degrees. All the obtuse angles are the same. So subtracting 4 from both sides, that gives me 3x is equal to 111. And then dividing both sides by 3 gives me whatever that is. I don't know it off the top of my head. Let me grab my calculator and cheat real quick. So 111 divided by 3. It's 37. So x is 37, and that's what we were supposed to find. So that means this is the answer right here. Okay, awesome. Two parallel lines are cut by a transversal. What is the value of B? Well, that is super easy. It is 128. I notice that B is obtuse, and I see I have an obtuse angle that's given to me that's 128. All the obtuse angles in this picture are the same. So B must be 128. Yeah, they don't get any easier than that. Two parallel lines cut by a transversal. What is the value of x? Well, we see that x is an acute angle, and 70 is an acute angle. All the acute angles in this picture are the same. So x is 70. So the answer is that right there. Crazy easy. Okay, this is going to be a short video, I can see now. What is the measure of angle 6? So we got to be careful. Notice on the previous problem they asked us for the value of x. This time they switched it up a little bit. They're not asking us for the value of x, they're asking us for the measure of angle 6. So just be careful. So let's see. We're going to have to find the value of x in order to answer the question. So here's the thing. This angle where we have the 5x plus 9, is this acute or obtuse? Right? This is an acute angle. Now, what about this angle up here where the 13x plus 9 is? Is this acute or obtuse? This is obtuse. I'll put a double marking on it. Alright, so remember I told you that when you have an acute angle and an obtuse angle in a situation like this, parallel lines cut by transversal, they are supplementary, meaning they should add up to 180 degrees. Okay, like all these little examples I did. Okay, so these two angles should add up to 180 degrees. So that means we should be able to make an equation that goes like this. The 13x plus 9 plus the 5x plus 9 should equal 180. So we should be able to easily solve this. Now I just put the parentheses in so you could clearly see that I'm adding this angle and this angle, but they're not really doing anything. So combining like terms. So 13x plus 5x, that's going to be 18x. And then 9 plus 9 is 18. And that equals 180. So just solving this little equation, I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. So that's going to give us 162. So now I've got 18x is equal to 162. Okay, so now I'm going to divide both sides by 18. Alright, I'm just going to put this in my calculator real quick. So 162 divided by 18. That's 9. Now, this is not the answer, and they were nice and did put this up there as one of the choices. This is the value of x. We're supposed to find the measure of angle 6. Now, angle 6 is an acute angle, and all the acute angles are the same. So I could find the measure of this other angle that I labeled pink, the 5x plus 9 angle, and they should be the same. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I have 5x plus 9, okay, is an expression representing an acute angle, but now I know what x is. X is 9, so that makes this 5 times 9 plus 9. So that's 45 plus 9. So that's 54. Okay, so that's the measure of the 5x plus 9. But all of the acute angles should be 54 degrees. So this should be the answer right here. And there you go. Okay. Parallel lines cut by transversal. Versal. The measure of angle 6 is this. The measure of angle 7 is that. What's the measure of angle 4? Let's see. The measure of angle 6 is obtuse. Okay, what about angle 7? Angle 7 is also obtuse. Okay, so we have an obtuse angle here, and we have another obtuse angle here. What about angle 4? Angle 4 is acute. Okay? So, of course, the obtuse angles will be equal, and they should be supplementary to the acute angle. So let's figure that out. First of all, we can make an equation out of these obtuse angles. These should be equal to each other. So that means 11x plus, you know what, I feel like doing it the other way around. That means 12x minus 4 should equal 11x plus 8. And here I go subtracting 11x from both sides. That's just going to leave x minus 4 is equal to 8. And then I add 4 to both sides. So that gives me x equals 12. Alright, so that's x. That's not any angle. That's just the value of x. So if I want to find the measure of these obtuse angles, I need to substitute this back in. These are equal, so it doesn't matter which one I use. So I'm going to use angle 6. So look, the measure of angle 6 is equal to 11x plus 8. X is 12, so that's 11 times 12 plus 8. Okay, so that is 132 plus 8, which of course is 140. Okay, so bottom line, the measure of angle 6 is 140. So that means all of the obtuse angles are 140. Okay, now, so this is 140. Now the acute angles should be supplementary with this. Okay, so whatever this acute angle is, like the measure of angle 4, alright, which is what we're trying to find. I'm going to just call the measure of angle 4, I feel like I'm going to call it n. Alright, let that be the measure of angle 4. These should be supplementary. Alright, acute, obtuse, they should add up to 180. So that means n plus 140 should equal 180. They should add up to 180. So if I subtract 140 from both sides, that's going to give me n equals 40. Okay, so that means the measure of angle 4 is 40. So this should be the answer right here at the top. And there you go. Alright, two parallel lines are cut by a transversal. What's the value of x? 115. Yeah, some of these are just so crazy easy. They are both obtuse. Alright, I've been using blue for obtuse. I'm not sure if you noticed my color scheme. So, yeah, so we've got an obtuse angle and another obtuse angle. So they should be the same. So 115 should be the answer. Oh gosh, what a surprise. Okay, given parallel lines with transversal P, prove that the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 7. Okay, what is the missing reason in the proof? So we have all these other reasons, but all that matters when you get down to a particular reason is how you got from the previous step to the step that you're on. Okay, so the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7. That's where we left off. So the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7. Alright, and then suddenly we say that the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 7. Okay, now how is that possible? You know what, I'm going to have to go back a little bit further because I think I see what's happening. So when did they mention angle 2? So, okay, going back a little bit further. In step 2, they mention, well, you know what, I don't have to go back that far. In step 3, they mentioned that angle 2 is, the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 3. Okay, so we had that the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 3. And then we arrived at the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7. So now what's the connection? Well, if the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 3, and the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7, alright, do you see the chain that's happening here? If A equals B and B equals C, then A must equal C. Alright, then the measure of angle 2 must equal the measure of angle 7. Now, what is that called when we make a chain like that? If the first thing equals the second thing, and the second thing equals the third thing, then the first thing must equal the third thing. Alright, when you make a chain like that, that is called the transitive property. Okay, so there it is. Alright, that is it. I hope this was helpful. I hope you took some good notes to help you on your quiz. Good luck.